Hello, and welcome back to the Modeling Success in Action podcast. I'm your host, Jessica, and today I am joined by I just want to say, effervescent, radiant Sally Thibault. So, Sally is an international keynote speaker, a best-selling author, a podcast host, and Menopause in the Workplace workshop facilitator. With over 4 decades of experience spanning fitness, wellness, and personal transformation. An EFT trainer and coach with a strong background in counseling, she is known for her blend of science-backed insight and timeless wisdom. Her recently released book, Strong, Clear, and Unapologetic, Midlife Reimagined, features her iconic 10 principles of wellness, empowering high-achieving women to reclaim their energy, confidence, and voice in midlife. Welcome, Sally. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Thank you, Jessica. So lovely to be here.
Yes. So the reason that I wanted you to be on the show is because, you've been an amazing model for women moving gracefully through life, like you said, for the last 4 decades. But I wanted to kind of have you come on and shed a light on what it's like for you now, so that I have a lot of clients who are in a age and stage where you're at, right? Where they're in that midlife period where things are getting funky. They're angry for no reason. They don't know what's going on, right? And it's kind of nice to show that there can be a graceful way of moving through this, a way that you're empowered and that you still feel confident in yourself. So I would really just love to start off by having you share your experience of this so that we can model you. So what's it been like for you
Oh,
through this?
thank you, Jessica. That's so kind. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I look back on my time when I went through menopause and perimenopause, and at that stage, nobody talked about it. Nobody talked about it. I was on my own and feeling very gaslit. I remember, going to see a doctor, and it was I was brain fog was just driving me crazy. I was gaining weight. I'd been a fitness instructor at that stage by almost 20 years, and I was gaining weight. I couldn't figure it out. It didn't make any sense. I couldn't diet and exercise my way out of it.
Mhm.
And I suffered from just exhaustion at one stage. I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. And I was on home and I was on the couch and I clicked on the Oprah Winfrey show, which came on at 2:00 every afternoon, if you're, those of us who are old enough to remember when that happened. And this particular episode, she was talking about this thing called perimenopause. I had never heard of it before. And this is going back to 2004, 2003. And I started writing everything down. My gosh, this is me. This is everything they're talking about. And I happened to have an appointment with my gynecologist the next day for some exploratory work they wanted to do. And I burst into his office. I was so excited. I said, I think this is perimenopause. And he just looked at me and he said, we don't really think that's a thing, do we? And I was just, oh, I am dying of some terrible disease, or I'm on the list for the Alzheimer's nursing home here soon. I was devastated, but I also knew, because Oprah told me it was a thing. Now, you got to remember going back 2005, 2004, there was no social media like we have now.
Yeah.
So there was no way to checking. There was no way of figuring it out other than talking to other women. And when I started talking to other women, I thought, actually, this is a thing. This is something no one's talking about. I think I just turned 50 maybe. And I suddenly started to think, we've really missed the mark here. We can't have all these women going through this and it not be a thing. So that kind of started me on a trajectory to try and figure it out. And I knew I was going to be on my own with this. I'm not the type of person who accepts the status quo.
Mhm.
If I think something's not working, I'll figure out a way to do it. And the 10 Principles of Wellness is what I created during that time when I figured out what I needed to do in order to survive this time feeling stronger and clearer and unapologetic in who I was. And for me, that became my guiding light. And I think the wonderful thing about it, especially when I dropped the 20 pounds without dieting and I switched the way that I was eating to include more protein. I really watched my sleep. And I switched my exercise up to doing formal weight training. In that way, other women began to notice I was doing something different. And it was really going against the grain at that stage in the fitness industry about what we are supposed to do to lose weight, which was in those days very much about any aerobic exercise or spending ages on the treadmill. It was all calories in,
Yeah.
calorie out.
Exactly. Go eat a diet yogurt, low fat, and then go work out on the treadmill, right?
Yeah. And write down
Yeah.
every calorie you ate. Oh, for
Yeah, count
goodness
it
sake.
all. Oh my God, what a tedious
Just
chore.
ridiculous. Yeah. So then
Yeah.
to me, then it became more about not just the physical aspect, but what I was going through emotionally. So, and what I've since learned to understand is that when we go through this menopausal transition, perimenopause and menopause, estrogen impacts every aspect of our body, including our brain and
Mhm.
including our gut, not just hormones. It's not just about our sex hormones. It's every aspect of us. And there's something that happens in perimenopause where you can sort of put on the armor up until then. You can be the I've got everything under control person. You might be you're like a duck, right, swimming along the water, and your feet are going like crazy underneath the water. But you get to a point where the armor comes down. You don't have the bandwidth, don't have the emotional bandwidth to put up the armor any longer, put up the scenario, and that's where a lot of women have breakdowns. And when I realized that what was going on was that I had to revisit, rethink every limiting belief I'd ever had about myself. And that's where the emotional aspect of this came in. And then I just got crankier as I get older. And I realized as you get older, women are really challenged. Midlife women are challenged all the time. You just have to
Mhm.
get onto social media and, you've got to look a certain way, or, you've got to have something done to your face and to your skin, or, now with, there's weight loss injections. It's like we're setting up this model where we don't allow women to age well. We want them to age in a certain way, like they're not aging. And that's just silly. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's where this all came from. And it was part, I think, when I'm working with people, with clients, is that setting them free from this constraint about how we're supposed to age. And then, as the thing is now with the way that science is going, and understanding about nutrition and exercise and diet and stress, is that we could potentially live to 120 or 130. We have knowledge now that our parents, my mother didn't have, and her mother didn't have.
Mhm.
And so the question is, well, if you want to live to 120, how do you want to do that?
Yeah, like, how do you wanna be, right? Do you want the
Yeah,
last 40 years of your life from, like, 80 to 120 to be miserable and crippled and in a chair and, watching life pass you
exactly.
by? Yeah.
That's exactly right. And you
Mhm.
see now today, you see women who are in their hundreds actually competing in events.
Yeah.
I think the oldest world swimming champion's like 99 or something, that she still swims in competitions, and there's women that still run races at 100. So it's not out of the realms of possibilities to do that. But as I said, it's how.
Yeah. So you mentioned them, you just, like, dropped the seed, but I'm curious. You said something about your 10 principles of wellness. What is that?
Mm. 10 principles of wellness. Well, when I was going through this, I wanted to be able to teach others. So I had to create a model that was easy to understand. So the first one is to eat intuitively. Get rid of the diet mentality. Stop listening to everybody else, and relearn how to trust in your body. Because what happens when you go through perimenopause and menopause is that your gut microbiome changes.
Mhm.
So what you're able to eat when you were 30, you can't do that anymore. Things will impact on you. Dairy, gluten, sugar, alcohol, it will all impact on you differently. Now, your body is always sending you messages to tell you that. But if you're
Mhm.
not listening, and then you're trying to follow somebody else's diet regime, you're not listening to your own body.
Yeah.
And so
And
have some understanding of nutrition, but then to listen to, okay, what I say is I now allow myself to eat anything I want. What does my body really need or want right now? And I'm asking my body, not my head,
yeah.
because most women eat emotionally. Most
Mhm.
women eat emotionally, and a lot of women will eat to stuff down an emotion. So it's not very acceptable to sit in the car picking the kids up from dance, drinking a bottle of wine. But if you're sitting in the car eating a packet of potato chips, no one says a word. It's the same thing. You're trying to dull an emotion by numbing yourself by food.
Exactly. It's the same. Food, drugs, alcohol, sex, like,
Exactly.
any of those things, they're just distractions to, I mean, not that I'm saying that, food and sex are not good sometimes, but
Yeah.
but like when you're using them in a useful way and not to distract you or to stuff something down or to like be a band-aid, right? Like we want to be knowing that we're making these choices because it's what our body's asking for, not trying to outsmart our own biology. And it's interesting too, when you're talking about the butt guy or the gut biome changing, our gut biome affects our mood, right? Like the
Sure.
gut impacts the mood. So if the biome's changing and our moods are changing along with it and we're all of a sudden confused, it's responding to what the body is actually asking for. So the first
Exactly.
principle is that intuitive piece of checking in with your body and eating in that way. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
We're
Okay, so let's
at that stage in our lives, we're incredibly intuitive.
Mhm,
Incredibly intuitive. You will not meet a woman over the age of around 40 who doesn't say things like, "I just had this feeling. I just did this because I just had a feeling." Every women are, and it really peaks. Remember that menopause is actually one day.
mhm,
Perimenopause is about 10 to 14 years, depending on when you first got your period and what's going on in your world. Menopause is actually 12 months of the day since your last period. That's menopause. And then there's postmenopause, which lasts another 20 years while your body's adapting to the changes in the hormones. And so, we talk about perimenopause and menopause as being kind of, oh, well, it's all over with. No, it's not. You've got another 20 or 30 years that you have to learn, your body learns to readapt to the way you've always done it. And that to me is the most empowering time for a woman, especially women in leadership in a business or in corporate or in government, because she learns. Women, as we go through that stage, we get the "I don't care what you think about me" thing. I don't care. Like, I don't
mhm,
care. I'm not. We care more about things that are important to us, like our families, our passions, uh, what's going on in the world to some degree. We care less about people worrying about people what they think of us. I don't care. I don't care. I'll dress how I want. I'll say what I want. It's up to you to whether what you think of me is none of my business.
mhm,
That goes on in postmenopause. And so women at that point make really, really powerful leaders because they bring knowledge and wisdom and experience and intuition to what they do in their world. And the studies are showing that 30% more women in the C-suite, companies will do 30% more turnover, 30% more profit. Midlife women in leadership will bring more strategic changes to an organization than others because they lead differently.
mhm.
They will learn, they get the heart of it. And these are the women who are strong, clear, and unapologetic. There's a lot of women who struggle with the whole process of menopause. They don't want to admit they're going through it. There's a thing called menopause. Let me see it. Menopause. Menopenalization. I got it out.
Menopenalization.
Menopenalization.
Oh,
That a woman will get to a certain age and suddenly she's overlooked
yeah.
for advancement in her career. She'll be shifted sideways. And so, she'll bring the armor on. She'll put on the big blazer with the big, putted
The
shoulders
shoulder
and
pads.
the look, right?
You're painting me like an 80s girl boss picture in my head right now.
I mean, I love a good shoulder pad. Don't get me wrong. I love a good shoulder pad. I'm a girl from the 80s. I used to teach aerobics. We used to teach aerobics. We actually put our shoulder pads in our
Imagine.
leotard. It's
Now
we
that's a
designed
look.
we designed a series of leotards at one stage, and we put padded shoulders in them because it gave it a great look, right?
Oh, yeah, right? They
Wide
get really
shoulders,
really
thin
tapers the
hips.
waist when the shoulders are broad.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh,
So
that's
there's a
so
real,
funny.
and
Okay.
I think, an urgent need for women in leadership, self-actualized, strong women, because we got a whole heap of male leaders at the moment with their finger on a little red button. They're just dying for a war or a breakdown. Women don't lead like that. Real women. There are women who try to be like men and they'll try and lead like a man and then they just all comes apart. But a true woman, intuitive, wise, experienced, confident, ability to speak authentically, which is one of the 10 principles, she's a force of nature.
So I'm curious though, because as you describe this way that the woman changes her interaction with life, with business, so, not having, not caring about things so much anymore and really prioritizing the things that matter. How did that translate to the way that you interacted in life as you were moving through that postmenopausal stage? Like, what did it do for you and your business? What did you see?
For me, my business became more intuitive. I became less concerned about following trends and more concerned about focusing on what felt right. And I've reached a point in my life where if something doesn't feel right, I won't follow the masses. I'll do something totally different. So it's got to align, and that's with everything. One of the things that I did do is I had to let a lot of friends, not a lot, but a few friends go in that time period because we just weren't aligned anymore. And I'm a great believer with your relationships, because when you have family and you have a business and you have friendships and all the things you've got to do, you've got to be very cognizant of your time and your energy. And so there was some people that, we'd get together because we'd been friends for a while, and then I'd leave and go, you know what, I don't. It left me kind of feeling flat. Whereas to me, a really good friend, and sort of focusing on, a handful of friends I have now, whenever we get together, I can't wait till we get together again. Like, we're always planning the next thing. We're always chatting and talking about life and kids and what's going on in the world. And, we say FFS a lot. We
Yeah.
just, so we just, to have friends that you can be your total self with. And I think for me, that's probably the biggest thing, the biggest change in my life was showing up just who I am. I don't, when I'm doing videos in the morning, I'm in the gym at 6 a.m. with no clothes on. No clothes on.
Yeah.
I haven't got that far yet.
So if anyone's not following Sally's
We haven't got that far yet.
one way.
Who knows? Might be a day. But no makeup on. And I always get from people who come on as clients that will say, it's because you were doing those videos with no makeup on at 6 a.m. in the morning. You show up as your real self. I want to be able to do that too. Like, it's about embracing every aspect of you. And it really crosses over into your work, your business. I know in the work that you do, it's about releasing that limiting beliefs and showing up as authentically as you. And when you do that, you become a magnet for others. You don't have to push. You don't have to be constantly pushing out there. When you're in alignment, there's an energy. The Heart Math Institute talks about your energy center and heart resonance. And when you show up as your whole heart, the energy reaches out about a meter from you. And so people naturally feel comfortable in your space when you're authentically you. But if you're trying to hide who you are, it sends confusing messages. And I think today, in particular, in this world where we have so much AI, that being authentically yourself is going to be one of the greatest values that you can bring to your business. Yeah. And stop the trying to look like everybody else. I mean, I look at people, Pamela Anderson's a great example, but she's not wearing any makeup any longer. I think that was one of those, well, she's got great skin and she looks beautiful anyway. But, she said, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to spend an hour and a half in the chair, somebody trying to make me look like I don't really look. And I just think that's just a really powerful statement for many people. Show up who you are. Forget about losing the 10 pounds or the 20 pounds or whatever you are before you're going to do whatever you're going to do. Just do it. No one cares. We don't
Yeah,
care.
right? And you can still take care of yourself anyway, you can lose those 20 pounds while doing the things you wanna be doing. You don't have to wait, right? It can
Right.
all be one, right? Like, why not start now? Yeah. Oh, I love that. Cool. So, okay, so you teased us. You gave us one principle and then you didn't give us any others. So so do we have to go and pick up that Midlife Reimagined book of yours to get the other 10
Yes. Well,
principles?
the
Yes.
book yeah, the book actually explains each of the principles in detail.
Yeah.
And as I say in the book, it's not about bringing them all into your life at once. It's about kind of waking up in the morning and thinking, okay, which principle do I need today to get me out of the whatever? Am I sleeping well? Am I really? And because the thing about sleep that I didn't understand until sort of halfway through this process was how important it was for your physical health, including your mental health. And in fact, one of my great researchers I follow, Dr. Bill Campbell, said just recently in a huge big survey they did of menopausal women, and one of the things he talked about was if you're not sleeping, forget about trying to lose weight. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So sleep to me is one thing that women need to really honor and focus on. Looking at the foods you're eating before you go to sleep at night. Are you having that glass of wine? Are you having that chocolate? It's all going to wake you up in the morning. Are you preparing? As your bedroom cool? Look at the supplements that you're taking, like magnesium and ashwagandha, those things that can help with sleep. And I think then the other principle that I love is to deal with your emotion effectively. Don't ignore feeling. Feeling is wonderful. Feeling is wonderful. And in the work that you do too, with hypnotherapy, it's just breaking down those barriers because it's just beliefs you've been carrying for I don't know how long. And you
Mhm.
get to perimenopause and menopause. I speak to so many women going through it, you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, reliving everything stupid you've done your entire life and you wish
Oh,
you'd
that
done something
middle of
different.
the night rumination. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
killer. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
I love that you're saying, deal with the emotions in a useful way, and effectively don't just ignore them. So I love that in theory. And I teach my clients this, but they're always going, what does it look like in practice? Yeah, yeah, like, deal with your emotions. What does that actually mean? So what does it look like for you?
Yeah. I'm a great believer in energy psychology techniques. Hypnotherapy is one of them. I use EFT tapping as another, EMDR, breath work, any of those types of modalities. And I'm a great believer in journal writing.
Mm.
Journaling is that window to your mind when you get the thoughts out of your head and down onto paper and you can look at them and you can see. I have a little practice that I use every day, I write whatever I've done or where I'm going. And then I always have 4 things at the bottom of my day. Okay, what's my intentions for the day? You know, what do I want to achieve today? My word for this year is impact. So every morning I write, how am I going to make an impact today in my body, my relationships, my bank account. Okay, one thing from each,
Yeah, that's where you want to make the impact, right? Yeah.
right? And so, the thing I think for us as midlife women in particular is that we are so scattered, can be so scattered by the demands, whether it's raising children, caring for parents, working in a career, trying to have friends, you got a relationship you want to encourage and foster and grow and all that stuff. So it's almost like you've got to actually be intentional in making those decisions about where am I going to place my energy today and what's important for me. So I love the word of the year. I've been doing that practice for 27 years now. It's very, very powerful. I do it every year.
Mhm.
And to me, that helps keep me on task and where I'm heading. So when the question you asked was how do you deal with emotion effectively is feel it and then recognize it. What am I,
Mhm.
what, instead of beating yourself up because you ate the block of chocolate at 11 o'clock, you said you were going to eat healthy today, to ask yourself, what was going on for me?
Mhm.
What was happening for me?
Yeah.
Why did I need to do this? And that's a really strong way of finding out who you are and what
Mhm.
and what you need to work on.
Yeah, I call that leveling, right? Like getting
Yeah,
honest with yourself and going like, what's really happening? Am I
yeah,
am I pissed off that, work didn't go well? Am I feeling sorry for myself because my kids didn't call me back, right? Like what's really going on? Yeah. Mhm. Oh,
And the more honest you are, the more authentic you can be. Because if you try and hide, you know, and try and be the people pleaser, eventually something's going to break down.
mhm.
Whether that's your
You.
body,
Yeah.
yeah, or your relationships, or
Yeah.
or just like more divorce for women around the age of 47 than any other time in a woman's life, and more suicides for women between the ages of 47 and 50. High rates of suicide, and that's because there's so much going on, and then we have to talk about it.
Mhm.
We have to make it okay to say, I'm not coping very well.
Yeah.
Take this people pleasing, I can do everything, the imposter syndrome
Mhm.
burden off you and be real and authentic. And I think that's the challenge for many women because if you look on those little squares of Instagram or Facebook, everybody's got their act together.
Yeah, or at
They're
least that's
all,
how it looks when they're showing up online, right? Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Mhm.
absolutely. Who wants to show up online with, in a, in a mess, tears
Yeah.
pouring
Who
down
wants
your
to
face?
show up naked at the gym, right, Sally? Like
To get my own private gym. That's a bit scary with all those heavy weights, just quietly. Uh,
Oh man. Oh, okay. Well, I think that this is a wonderful place to kind of leave off. So before we wrap things up, Sally, I'm curious, is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with? Is there a piece of advice or something they could start to model from you right away to just put some action to this?
yeah. For especially for women, is to understand we are hormonal creatures. So whether you are still getting a period, whether you're in perimenopause, when you're menopause or postmenopause, you are we are hormonal creatures, and that's okay.
Mhm.
And the other part of it is, if you don't feel like yourself, reach out to somebody. We're not supposed to suffer. If you're tired too often, if you're not sleeping well enough, if you feel like, who am I anymore? It's okay to reach out and ask for help. It's okay to go to a doctor and say, listen, no, don't tell me in 8 minutes that this is just something women go through. I want a complete hormonal panel. I want my bloods done. I want to know what's going on for me, because you have to learn to self abdicate for yourself
Mhm.
and be absolutely authentic and confident in saying something doesn't feel right and I'm going to fix it. And whether you fix it yourself through doing your emotional work or whether you lean into working with a medical practitioner, a naturopath, hypnotherapist, just when you're strapped in turmoil, if things aren't going right, there's something going on. So figure it out.
Mhm.
Don't think you have to, lumber through it like I've got to be stoic. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
reach out, talk to
as
us.
you're saying this, I'm the metaphor that's coming to me is like the acceptance of that the world has seasons, right? Like that there'll be rain, there'll be sun, there'll be snow, like expect it. Like the hormonal like it's expected. But you also don't have to stand in the rain and just get soaking wet. You can get an umbrella, right? Like
That's right.
the rain's
That's
coming,
exactly.
but get something,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
and
how
be
I see it.
okay with it. I think that's the thing, is that with so many people that women in particular probably, we put on this armor. Like,
Mhm.
no, how are you? Fine. I'm good. I'm fine.
So fine.
I'm fine. Uh,
Uh, I freaked someone out this morning. I was in line and we were having a conversation. We were waiting for a breakfast. We were at a breakfast meeting and he goes, "And how are you?" And I just looked at him and went, "Oh, horrible, actually." And you should have seen the look on his face. I mean, I was joking, but nobody ever says that, right? They always, "I'm fine. I'm great."
yeah, because if they want to know and you do tell them,
Yeah.
they'll go, "Oh,
Exactly.
thanks."
And so as soon as I started to laugh, he's like, "Oh, thank God." He's like, "I was already planning my exit strategy." I was like, "Oh God, I'm not here. Like, it's too early in the morning for this conversation."
Yeah, pick
Yeah,
your time. Pick your time.
exactly. So thank you so much for joining me today, Sally. This was fantastic. I really appreciate you letting us into your model of the world. If anybody wants
Thank
to
you.
connect with you, I'm going to put your details below. So anyone listening can reach out to Sally. You can buy her book, one of her many books. How many is it? How many books do you have? Five? Three?
This is my third.
Third book. This is
My
her third book.
Yeah.
So all of the details will be there. So please reach out, connect with Sally. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for listening.